Hi, I'm Pam Hayes from Hayes Sewing Machine Company. Welcome back to our creative videos. And today we're going to do bags. This is a panel that we got into the store. It talks about it being the Happy Crochet Bag 2. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to crochet in order to like the bag. All right, so it has actually two bags. One that's bigger, and that's the one I'm going to be demonstrating. And it also has a small one.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. And it has beautiful decorative fabrics. And when you look on the inside, they have the ladies.
Cute.
And they also have a plaid.
Gotcha.
Okay? And what I did to, even though the fabric is actually a twill, so it's a little bit heavier than your standard quilting cotton, I wanted to make it a little bit more sturdy. So on the back and front of both the pouch and the little bag that I'm going to be doing, I did fusible fleece done by Pellon. So you're going to, it's not very thick, see, it's not particularly thick, and it has fusing agent on one side, so it's rough on one side and then it's smooth on the other. This is really nice. I also use this for doing like placemats, you know, bags and things. It does a nice job. All right, so I have fused the back as well as the front. She does her zippers a little different way, so I'm just going to show you the way I would do it. I have used, I'm using we have bulk zippers in the store that are 14 inches. So what I did is I cut the metal bit off, you know, which will stop it from coming undone, and I put a piece of fabric. And when I'm working with the fabric, it doesn't really matter how wide, as long as it's wider than your zipper tape, okay? Because we're going to trim it down, so that doesn't matter. So when you're working with it, I started out with a 2-inch in the depth, and I folded it, and then I kind of think of bias tape, okay? And so this is what we're going to end up. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure it's smaller than whatever you're doing for your bag. Okay, so if you scan down here for a second. Okay, this is the front of the bag. And I'm going to have it kind of tall. Okay, but if you take a look, I want it to be basically a good 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch. Okay, so see how it's short? And then what I do is I bring it over, and can you see how I put my mark on there? And that's where I'm going to physically cut the zipper. So if you are working with zippers that are from your stash and that are a little longer, but would be perfect for the job, this is great. All right, so I take my scissors and I literally cut across. I'm trying to go for cheap scissors because you don't really want to do it with your good gingers unless you have to. All right, so I'm going to take and I'm going to tuck the ends in, make sure the zipper teeth are together, just like that.
Gotcha.
All right, so then we're gonna go and working with my zipper foot.
I think we'll come around and
all right, and we're gonna sew across.
oh, poor people are getting seasick here. Sorry about that. There we go.
All right, and I'm just gonna sew across. So you can see, we don't have to worry about it now. So see how it's gonna stop. Okay, so we take, and we're going to just cut it even, or even-ish. You can trim it a little bit better later. All right, so we're good.
Hold it a little bit towards you. A little down. There you go.
There she blows. Okay. Sorry, I'm being a little anal retentive here. Let me just get that. Okay. Now, when I cut these out, because I had a lot of different pieces, because I had the front, I had the back, And then I have what would be the lining pieces.
It's interesting that the linings are two different colors.
I know. I thought that was kind of funky and fun, which goes to show you that if you don't have enough in your stash,
Yeah, we're so worried about getting everything lined up and perfect and that kind of thing. Yeah,
don't worry
just
about
get
it.
a second piece of fabric.
Yep, you got it. So I kept them labeled,
Gotcha.
just so I knew what was going on. But you see how there's like a dotted line? That's where you're going to cut for
Gotcha.
all your bits. Now, they also are going to give you a longer section for like a handle. Okay. And they give you two different colors, which I thought was very nice. I could have done it with this guy. I could have put a little handle on this one as well. To be perfectly honest with you, I got it all together. I'm like, oh, rats, I had forgotten. But I just think it looks cute as it is.
Yes.
But that was one of the colors. And then they also had another color. And then for the bigger handle, for the bigger bag, I could have chosen either of these two. But for myself, I kind of like the teal with it. And when you're working with it, it was my choice to use this for the ends of my zips instead of that color. Now, we're going to go and we're going to line it up. So again, still working with the zipper foot. The biggest thing is you're going to notice that it is short. So you see how it doesn't go to the end for the fabric, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to trim off that little piece that says front. We're going to line it up. Now, the zipper tab can get in the way. Don't worry about it. Just take it, and we're going to move that, and we can move it backwards and forwards as we need it. We're going to line this up. And we're going to stitch. If you're worried about pinning it, I would recommend actually clips. And we're just going to line this up. I'm lining the zipper tape. Now, as I'm getting to this point, this is going to get in the way, so just raise the foot. Slide the zipper tape back. And we're good. Okay, I'm going to go all the way to the end with my fabric, but don't worry too much about that because it's going to be stitched again. All right, so I have sewn my zipper to the one side. Now, take whatever side you want, because remember, this guy is going to have two different colors. At this point, I'm going to put right sides together, so right side of my fabric to the right side of my lining, and I'm going to sew it in. And I always sew from the opposite side so I can see what's going on. So again, we're going to go. And you know the old maxim, you never put a zipper in when you have no other needles in the house.
Because if you've got lots of extra ones, you're okay.
You're
but
absolutely
if you're
fine.
down to your last one, you know you're going to break it.
Yep. All right, so we're going to sew all the way down. And remember, when I start to get to the tab, we're going to stop. So again, we're sewing all the way down. Okay, that's where my tab is. I have my lump right there. So you're going to reach in. First thing you're going to do is you're going to raise your presser foot. And you're going to reach in and you're going to unzip. Like so. All right, lower the foot down again. And we're going to sew the rest of the way. And this time we're not stopping at the zipper tab. Again, remember, we're sewing all the way across. All right. So all of a sudden, your zipper is like piping. I'm going to close it up so it's easier for you to see. All right. So we have our lining inside, and then we have our fabric outside. We're going to go and we're going to give it a quick press. And you're also don't dwell too long at the zipper.
Why? Nylon coils are going to melt. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you don't want to iron by smell. So we're going to go. That looks pretty good. All right, so now we're going to line this up. And I want a top stitch because I want it to look pretty. So we're going to go and we're going to top stitch. Okay, and I'm going to pull all the fabric away from the zipper so it's not getting too close. Ever buy the thing on clearance and it has a zip in it and you don't try the zip until you get home and it has like a sticking point? A lot of times they have top stitched or sewn too close.
Without pulling the fabric away.
Without pulling the fabric away. Ask me how I know this. So again.
Experience is the best teacher.
Experience is the best teacher. All right, so we're going to go. Again, just going to top stitch. All right, and I'm just going to leave it in there, see if you can see. See how we just top stitched.
I can scan it.
So just right along the edge.
Yep.
It's a nice top stitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is where you can mess it up if you're not paying attention.
Not that we would ever do.
Not that we would ever do that, but because we're so excited, it looks so good, and we're getting halfway done, and you're like, all right, you forget which side goes where.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, this has the fusible fleece. We want the other side to match it.
Right sides together.
Right sides together with the fusible fleece.
Gotcha.
So again, it's one of those things where if you ever make a boo-boo, you're in good company. All right, now on this one, remember we're only kind of focusing on the zip part. Okay, we're sewing along. Now, remember, it gets ugly and bulky and kind of clumpy right there because of the tab. So what are you going to do? You're going to leave the needle in the fabric, raise the foot, and then we're going to continue. We've moved the tab so we don't have to think about it. All right, so we have it nice and stitched. We are now going to go and we're going to get our other lining piece. And again,
Which cleverly says inside lining.
inside lining, don't you like that? And I'm just going to take that off, so hopefully at this point it
We're
should be
running out of
obvious.
pieces.
We're running out of pieces. Okay, so now you kind of get a little like, huh? Okay, what you're going to do, I find if I open it up sometimes that'll help me. Okay, so I have my two pieces that have the fleece, and then this guy, but you want to kind of fold it back again. And this guy's going to attach to the other piece, other side of your zipper. If you remember, linings are going together.
And the zipper should be sandwiched in between.
Zipper should be sandwiched in between. Don't call it a zipper, call it a piece of piping. Because as soon as I say zipper to some people, pew, they're out of the room. And we're going to find out, and my zipper tab is right there. And you'll feel it. You'll just feel exactly where it is. You get close to it, but not too close. Raise the foot. Put your hand underneath. Close it up. And grab a hold of the tab. There you go. And then continue on your way. All right, so hopefully we remember, though I have a couple of bags in my possession, that, if you top stitch the one side,
You'd like to top stitch both?
I like to top stitch the other side as well. Again, that's just me. All right. So now, once we have that pressed, we're going to top stitch. And when we line this up, give it a pull, try to make sure it's nice and flat. But you don't want to sew it too close to the edge. All right. Now, as we progress to the next step, which is actually sewing the sides of this, please make sure your zipper's open.
It can be a challenge to open it up after the fact. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to go and we're going to basically have these two guys together. Okay, This is the lining. And then we're going to have the two pieces that have the fusible fleece.
Gotcha.
Now, when we're working with, you can throw a couple of, this is an excellent time to use clips to kind of hold everything. And this all of a sudden should become, I don't want to say totally clear, but it could be if you've never done this before. It's going to become obvious why we shortened up the zipper, because we want to have it where we don't get it caught in the seam. All right, and I have one more side to do. I'm just putting some in the corners. All right, so at this point, you can start wherever you like to. I'm going to start on the top, working on the foam bit. Your seam allowance wants to be a 1/4 inch or thereabouts. On the batting, if I said foam, I'm sorry, the batting bit, you are not going to leave an opening. Unless you particularly like handwork. All right, so at this point, we're going to go sew across. This is also where we want to make sure, you know that piece we so lovingly made? It'll be really convenient if you put it on one of the side bits. And so we're going to go, and they told me to do it about a 1/2 inch below the zipper. So I'm going to sew up the side a little bit, and then we're going to go and pop it in. So again, now how did I do the tab? Very easily. When I did the tab, I took it and I put it was very long, and I took right sides together and I sewed the long seam, turned it right side out. I flipped it, and then I made sure that I just zigzagged the edge. So I was good. Now we're gonna go, and I'm gonna slide it in. And you can thank Loretta for me remembering to put the little tab in, because you couldn't see it off camera, but she was going, hey! So, way to go, Loretta. Appreciate it.
Just thought I'd mention it.
Just thought you mentioned it. All right, and we're sewing along. And again, remember, we're missing the end bit of the zip. And we're going along. And just try to flatten out any little wrinkle if we have it. So I put my little handle in. Now, the other thing, this is the lining side. So what do we have to remember with the lining side? You have to remember to leave an opening at the bottom so you can put your hand through and turn this puppy. Because if you don't, you have a very strange pot holder looking thing. All right, so I sew, and I've been getting in the habit of just sewing off, pivoting and coming in a little bit, and I'll show you in the camera. So do one of these things. So I have pivoted from my corner, I've sewn across, and then I just come out to the raw edge.
Mm-hmm.
That way it doesn't tear your fabric quite so much. If you've ever had it where it's kind of torn it up a little bit when you're trying to go. So you're going to start at the raw edge again. You come in, raise the foot, we're going to pivot. And
So give you a cleaner tuck in when
it
you
gives a cleaner tuck. Yep.
Interesting.
So when we have to do that, it just makes life a little simpler. And we're going back up to the other side. And we're going to go, and we're going to sew, and we're going to go all the way through, and then back stitch. Okay. Now, what I like to do at this point is I like to take my good scissors, and we're going to trim the corners. So we're just going to cut at an angle, and we want to trim the corner a little bit. And get all that done. Now, we're going to take that opening that we left at the bottom. We are going to reach our hand through, and we're going to pull, actually not, I'm so sorry. Because the only reason I'm hesitating is I was going to show you how to do the corners, because I want this to have some depth. Okay, so if you were done, you were doing a flat bag, you'd pull your hand through and you'd pull it all the way through. However, they give you a lovely little diagram that's going to show you how to basically line it up and give yourself some depth. All right, so how we're going to do that first is we're going to do it on the outside. You're going to do this for 4 corners. You see how we have our side seam and we have our bottom seam. You're going to take and you're going to make sure those 2 seams are together. So we take And I'm just going to saw a pin in here earlier. There you go. All right, so we're gonna go and we're gonna line this up, and we just want to put a pin through the seam and make sure it's on the other seam. That way, life is good. So that way you have a bag that has a chance of standing up straight. All right, so now we're gonna go. This is my magic drawer. They wanted you to do a 3-inch line. So from the tip, we're gonna come up 3 inches. Okay, and we're gonna go and we're going to change from our regular foot to our, we had a zipper foot on, so we're going to change to our regular foot. And just want to make sure, again, with a more proper ruler, yep, that's 3 inches. So we're going to go and we're going to sew across the corner. Make sure everything's nice and flat. Could you mark all the way across? Absolutely. Sorry for the pause. Just want to make sure. We're going to just put another foot on here. Really?
Just unthread it.
Yep. Just unthread it and do it again. Alright, so we're going to sew across. Try to keep it as flat as possible. Now, if you didn't want as much depth, that would be no problem. Just simply go and work with a amount that would be less than the 3 inches. All right, so we have that one done. We're gonna go and we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Again, we wanna make sure that everything is lined up nicely. So remember what I do is I put the pin through and make sure it's on the seam. You'd be surprised how much of an angle it can get if you don't put the pin through it. All right, that looks great. Again, we're going to measure 3 inches down. And whatever number you decide on your particular bag to work with, just make sure they're all the same. Make sure
in the corners? Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah, if you're trimming this, doing this
If
type
you're
of
doing
thing.
3 inches, do 3 inches on all four corners.
Yep. 3 corners?
Yeah.
Yep. So when you're working with it, we're just going to line this up. And again, we're going to get this positioned. Again, measure down. It's going to be near where I pivoted out, but don't worry about that. All right, so we're going to stitch. All right. Again, we're going to cut, going across, and I have one more corner to do. All right. So again, I put the pin through just to check to make sure I'm close to this. So we're going to do our 3-inch. And again, we're just going to line this up. That looks good. And we have one more corner to do. Okay, so now, because again, I wanted all of my corners, we're gonna go, and now we're gonna pull it through. Remember, if you wanted the flat bag, so you wanted it kind of to be tall and not
More like the pouch.
more like the pouch, you got it. So we're gonna push these corners out. I think it's cute that it's two different color line that's in the back and the front. All right, we've done that one. We're gonna take the time to put our hand through, and we're gonna pooch out that one. All right, so now before we go and we put everything back in, this is where we're gonna go, and we're gonna just tuck in the lining, fold out basically under the amount that you came in on. All right, and then you could always give it a press.
Or not.
Or not. You could always give it a press.
But it's kind of interesting with that little kind of L that you did off the edge. That really does clean up the
Yep.
when you flip it over.
It does. It cleans it up quite a bit. So again,
I learned something.
I'm just doing a straight stitch. Some people say you should you can hand sew this seam closed. Absolutely, whatever works for you. But realistically, I'm going to have so much stuff in here, as most of my bags do.
No one's going to notice the little
No
stray
one
stitch.
is going to notice that I stitched it by machine. All right, so we're going to tuck everything in, and we are going to have our nice bag section. take this out. Now I got a pokey thingy, translated,
Stuffing tool.
well, actually this one's a knitting needle.
Oh, really?
I'm surprised I found it in the drawer, but there you go. So we're just going to poke out the ends.
Look how nice and neat those end of the zipper is. I like that fabric tab. All right.
And look at that.
That-
Something to absolutely be complete, and you are good to go. Whether you do it for the crochet as they recommend, I knit, perfect, anything needlepoint,
Project bag.
anything project bag, whatever you like. All right, see you next time.